And it's PLB with MLB News back with another video. And in today's video, I'm going to be redrafting the 2017 MLB Draft. And in this video, I continue a series on this channel. If you have not yet watched the redrafting the 2015 and 2016 MLB Draft, make sure to watch that. Link in the description below to those videos. So in today's video, I'm going to do something a little different. And I have found an article on Bleacher Report pretty much after the draft happened. They made some draft grades, so I'm going to give my own grade, and I'm going to react to their grades. So if you like this kind of content, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you get notified whenever I upload a video. Make sure to check out my basketball channel. It is PLB with Basketball News. And yeah, let's go ahead and get into this redraft. So starting off at number 1, the Twins had this selection. They were a really bad team that year. Didn't have some of the players that they have now, like Max Kepler, Josh Donaldson, Eddie Rosario, Miguel Sano, but that's totally besides the point. With this selection, they take Mackenzie Gore. Now, there's another good pitcher in this draft in Nate Pearson, who is also a top prospect, but I think Mackenzie Gore is a better player. But I also think he fits better with this team. He's a left-handed pitcher. They are kind of right-handed heavy in that rotation, minus Rich Hill, obviously. And I think he'd fit well on this team as a number 3 starter, possibly, considering you've already got Jose Barrias as your number 1, Jake Odorizzi as your number 2. And I think this is a perfect selection. Obviously, at number 1, they took Royce Lewis, who is like a top 10 prospect in all of minor league baseball, who I still think is a really good player. I just think if you get a chance to select Mackenzie Gore in a redraft scenario, you definitely have to take Mackenzie Gore. And the grade for this draft was a B+. And I think looking at it now, you could probably even go with an A-. An A- is a pick that I would go with. I don't have a problem with a B+ right here. And I think it's a good selection by the Twins, but I think if you get a redraft, if you're in a redraft scenario, you select Mackenzie Gore, because I do think that their starting pitching mainly is a weak spot, and they already have their shortstop in Jorge Polanco, who had an All-Star season in 2019. I totally forgot he was on the All-Star team in 2019. Moving on to the second selection, where the Cincinnati Reds select Jo Adell. And Jo Adell was originally selected at number 10 by the Los Angeles Angels. And he is, I think, a top 5 prospect in all of minor league baseball. And I think he would fit really good in this outfield. They needed a center fielder last year. Michael Lorenzen at center field just does not cut it for a major league baseball team, for a minor league baseball team, a short season team. Possibly, maybe it works. I don't know. I still think Michael Lorenzen should be a pitcher. That is totally besides the point. Jo Adell is your new center fielder, and he is labeled to be the next Mike Trout. Obviously, that's his comparison. And is he the next Mike Trout? I don't think so, but maybe so. I still think he's going to be a great player in his MLB career. And if you look at the outfield that they have a decently young outfield with good players. In right field, you would have Nicholas Castellanos. Center field would be Jo Adell. And left field would be Aristides Aquino. I just don't think you can pass up with that. Their original selection was Hunter Green, which obviously is another good pitcher. He's only in like Double-A right now. I still think he's going to be a good pitcher in his MLB career. But I think Jo Adell just fits better with this team, and they really don't need starting pitching, and that's what Hunter Green is, a starting pitcher, considering they have a good starting 5 in Luis Castillo, Trevor Bauer, and Anthony DeSclafani, Wade Miley, and the other pitcher that I'm forgetting. Moving on, and the Bleacher Report gave them an A for this pick. And at the time, I thought he was definitely the best player in this draft. And now, looking at some of the players, I just don't think that he is the best player. Moving on to the third selection, where the San Diego Padres had this pick and originally went with Mackenzie Gore. And they select Nate Pearson, and I don't really think this is much of a downgrade from Mackenzie Gore, and I think if anything he fits better with this team. And I think he fits well just because they don't really have a ace. He would probably be the number one. Maybe you could argue a number two, depending on Chris Paddock. Moving on to the fourth selection, where the Rays go with their original selection. And, let's go back to the third pick. And they gave an A- for Mackenzie Gore. I definitely agree with that. I think, though, in a redraft scenario, you get a for getting Nate Peterson in a redraft scenario. Now, for the original pick and Mackenzie Gore, I think you definitely have to give an B. I think a B just because I don't know how great he's going to be. I still think he's going to be good. I just don't know how good. And he did have one down season, which really does concern me that he might not be the greatest player in the MLB. Moving on to the fourth selection, where the Rays in a redraft scenario go with their original pick, and they select Brendan McKay. And I think Brendan McKay fits very well on this Rays team. And I think he's a good number 4, number 5 starter. I'm not really sure about the hitting part. I think he's more of a pitcher. That's just my opinion. We move on to the fifth selection, where the Atlanta Braves originally selected Kyle Wright. But I think they go with a different player right here, and they go in Ryan Vidal. And you're probably clueless who he is, and I understand that. He has played on the Asheville Tourist roster, and he is a top prospect for the Rockies. Super underrated prospect. I think he could easily be in the top 100. And I think he would really be the Braves selection right here, just because he usually is a shortstop. I am completely aware of that. But he can also play some third base. I don't know how great of third base, but I think he fits perfectly with this Braves team. Obviously, with them not having a third baseman that's really worth a crap right now, I just don't see Austin Riley being that good, nor do I see Juan Camargo being the greatest fit there or the best player there. Moving on to the sixth selection, where the Oakland A's select Drew Waters. And I feel like, notoriously, the A's have a weak right fielder, always. Because Ramon Laureano's in center, Chris Davis is in left field, or Mark Canha. They need a right fielder. And Drew Waters can play right field. He's mainly a left fielder, but he can play left field. Moving on to the seventh selection, where the Arizona Diamondbacks select the original number 1 overall pick in Royce Lewis. And I think he really fits well with this team. In one of my previous drafts, they got a great player. It was Alex Bregman in the 2015 MLB Draft when they had the number 1 pick. And let's just go off the redraft for a second. If they had this kind of infield, that would be probably the best infield in the major leagues. Royce Lewis, Ketel Marte, Alex Bregman, Christian Walker, or Jake Lamb at first base. And that is a really good infield. We move on to the 8th selection, where the Philadelphia Phillies select Hunter Green, who was originally the number 2 pick. Obviously, Kyle Wright is in this draft, who is also another good pitcher. But I think Hunter Green is the best pitcher here. And the Phillies do not have to have him up like right now. They don't need him instantly up. They obviously do need some pitching help. I'm not going to deny that. But I think he's going to be the number 3 starter when he comes up, behind Zach Wheeler, behind Aaron Nola. And I think he fits very well with this team. I think a number 3 spot in a pitching rotation is very good for him. Moving on to the 9th selection, where the Brewers select Keston Hiura. And I think if they get to reselect Keston Hiura, they're definitely going to not pass up. After he did so well in his first season, I think he definitely will be repicked in a redraft scenario. Moving on to the 10th selection, where the LA Angels go for pitching because Joe Adell's already off the board, and they select Kyle Wright. Now, our next pick is the White Sox, and they select another pitcher. Not going to spoil that yet, but I think Kyle Wright is the better player than our next pitcher, which I'll talk about in a second. Kyle Wright is not a player that I was very high on when he was drafted. I was like, was he really broke that draft pick, and he came up to the major leagues really quick. Really hasn't been that great. Moving on to the 11th selection, where the Chicago White Sox select Spencer Howard, who is the number 2 Phillies prospect behind Alex Baum, which he'll probably be the number 1 prospect because Alex Baum's going to come up. We move on to the 12th selection, where the Pirates select Jeter Downs. And Jeter Downs is a second baseman, if you did not know. He was traded to the Red Sox in the Mookie Betts trade. And I actually think he fits very well on this Pirates team. Now, if you're a Pirates fan, you might want to see a little bit more out of Adam Frazier, but I think you can move him to outfield, possibly left field. I think would be a great spot to put him. And I think you could put Jeter Downs at second base, and the Pirates would be a lot better of a team. Moving on to the 13th selection, where the Marlins select Griffin Canning, who was originally an Angel selection and is a player that is okay when he came up in the major leagues. I thought he was going to be the Angels' ace. I thought he was going to be definitely their ace, and I thought he was going to be their fix at the ace spot of pitching, but no. Moving on to the 14th selection, where the Royals select Trevor Rogers, who is a left-handed pitcher for the Twins and actually has had a really good MLB career. Moving on to the 15th selection, where the Astros select DL Hall, who is currently in the Orioles organization, a top prospect for the Orioles, and is not a player that I'm a big fan of, but I still think he will have a good MLB career. We move on to the 16th selection, where the Yankees go with their original pick. I'm pretty sure it was their original pick, in Clark Schmidt, who is a top 30 prospect for them. Not a prospect that I think is going to have that great of a major league career, but an okay one. Moving on to the 17th selection, where the Mariners select Evan White, again, an original selection. With the 18th selection in this redraft scenario, the Tigers select Tyler Freeman, who is a shortstop. With this pick, you don't have to put Nico Goodrum at shortstop every day, which I think is a plus for them. And I think he's not ready to come up yet. He finished the season in single-A advance with the Lynchburg Hillcats. Moving on to the 19th selection, where the Giants select Ramos. He's the number 2 prospect in the Giants organization. Don't know how to pronounce his first name. And behind Joey Bart. And he finished last season in single-A. I think he definitely would have started the 2020 season, obviously, if it would have started on time in Double-A. Moving on to the 20th selection, where the Mets select Adam Hazley, who would definitely be their center fielder. Obviously, there was rumors about Starling Marte to the Mets. That didn't happen. I think Adam Hazley's a fix at center field. Moving on to the 21st selection, where the Orioles select Shane Baz, who I'm pretty sure is a top prospect. Pretty good prospect as well. Moving on to the 22nd selection, which I think has to be one of the more underrated prospects in the White Sox organization, and the Blue Jays will select Gavin Sheets. And he was really good with the Kannapolis Imitators. 23rd selection, the Dodgers select Tommy Duell. With the 24th selection, the Red Sox select Hans Kraus. With the 25th selection, the Nationals go with their original selection and select Seth Romero. Moving on to the 26th selection, where the Rangers select Brandon Little, who I'm pretty sure is a top 30 prospect for the Cubs. The 27th selection, the Cubs select David Peterson. With the 28th selection, the Blue Jays select Kyle Mitchell. And with the 29th selection, the Rangers select Jake Berger. And with the 30th selection, the Cubs select Nick Prado. And that's going to be the end of this video. If you like this kind of content, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you will get notified whenever I upload. Let's try to get this video to 5 likes for redrafting the 2018 MLB Draft tomorrow. And if you do want to see a live stream for the MLB Draft and just sit and watch the draft with me and see my reaction, like this video. Let's try to get this video to 5 or 6 likes for possibly a live stream on June 10th, the MLB Draft Day. I will probably do it for the first round. I don't know about the second round because I just don't know a lot about those players. So that's going to be the end of this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll be back with more videos tomorrow.